there's no way to shortcut what Afghanistan and what we are going through inside of Afghanistan. But what I will try my best is to say that it's not what it should be. The situation of Afghanistan is very, very difficult for all people, women, men, youth, children. There's a huge divide of, mentalities and ideologies, and there's a huge divide of what is supposed to happen and what should happen from the people inside of Afghanistan and from the people outside of Afghanistan and from the international community. What we're facing is a very big dilemma. What we're facing is a very big humanitarian catastrophe. Afghan people have no access to economic aid, they have no access to food, and regardless of some donors trying to provide funding, it's just not enough, it's not sufficient to provide for all families. We're also facing a big political shift, which has brought a lot of infringement on women's rights. And we're seeing that instead of things progressing in the direction that was promised to the international community, it's going the exact opposite. Women's education is still at a standstill. There's no, concrete steps being taken as to how they're going to continue girls' education, which will only be detrimental to not only women, but also to the entire society of Afghanistan if it continues like this, because we're also facing a shortage of women lecturers, women teachers, and so by default, if you are stopping one place, you're by default stopping every other little sectors that were intertwined. And I think that's what we're seeing in Afghanistan. It's an economic collapse and an economic paralysis. It's also like a political paralysis. We're being run by a militarized regime that are very well trained and well versed in, physical combat, but not as much in governance. And we've seen that time and time again with every decision that they've been making is only concentrated towards, abolishing Ministry of Women Affairs, abolishing women from going to school, stopping women from having mobility, media censorship, but nothing concrete as to how to jumpstart the economy, how to provide economic opportunities for people. So to say the least, Afghanistan is facing probably the worst crisis in its entire history. I think that what Afghan people are very frustrated with is that the international community has had enough experience with conflict-ridden, countries and, that narrative. So they have enough experience failing in some areas, and so they have enough expertise as well as to how to create flexible and new mechanisms that would be very, very well situated and contextualized for Afghanistan. I think the international community needs to stop with this passive soft diplomacy. We need more active solidarity, whether that is through social media, whether that is through using every leverage that they have against the militarized regime to bring them into discussion. They cannot let them reign the country as if they're the majority. We're the majority. We are part of the country. We are the future of the country. There has to be a conversation where we're included, and not just a conversation that's symbolic, but a conversation that would be effective and result-oriented. I think that's what the international community should put their efforts, not just try to give us a band-aid, like some sort of financial support that would just, let people survive for a little bit, but to find ways to jumpstart the economy, to find ways to how we're supposed to work together, what is the right way to work together, how to heal from what we've been through, because both parties, the Taliban and the Afghan people, they need to find, if we're dealing with the Taliban for the long run, then there has to be some form of conflict discussions and peace building discussions and some form of some form of mechanism, if including the Taliban with the Afghan people, and for the Afghan people to have the right to ask them and to demand from them and to question them. There shouldn't be any fear of what would that cause, if that would cause me harm. There should be a proper dialogue. I'm also going to say, let's not try to focus that this is the only solution, that we have to accept this. If we can find another solution, then we should also focus on it. But if this is the only solution, then we should find the best way to work with it and not just to surrender 38 million people to them. That's the future of so many people. And if we don't do something now, I think the biggest fear that the international community should have, this could become a transnational issue, and radicalization of an entire society and the new generation can only cause more terror in the Western countries as well, which we're witnessing and we have witnessed. And, this is something that they should fear. So these kind of discussions and these kind of dialogues are very crucial. I think it's really good that like we are continuing some efforts to show that Afghanistan is relevant. If that is, to present us as panelists, as speakers, to give information regarding our country, firsthand experience and firsthand information, I think that, and if we're even impacting one person in that big group, I think that is something, because that's one person more educated, one person more well aware and, about Afghanistan. I think that is effective in the long term for them because, the trickle effect. One person will go and hopefully reach out to their network. Someone will be influenced there. They will go. And hopefully there will be but that's like a long term, solution. In the short term, of course, we're getting like people that are, continuing the dialogue and the discussions, which is good, but we have to focus more on what can be done further and just not be satisfied with the limited efforts that we have started. This should be a jumpstart to the conversation, but not the end to the conversation. I think there needs to be more to be done. And I think everyone that goes out of here, they need to utilize their platform to amplify the voices of Afghan women and to amplify the needs of Afghan people. I think that is crucial, that we should not forget. I am very fortunate that I am part of the Sakharov Fellow, and the European Parliament has been very, supportive of my opinions and of my perspective. To the point that this is my second time participating, and this time in person, and they've funded my whole, stay and transportation and everything. And so financially, they're providing a lot of support for me to continue my advocacy work in Italy. And I think that is lovely. But again, like I said, it would have been great if I could also get to meet some of the European Parliament members to have this conversation with. So that is something I will expect and hope that, they can arrange, and hopefully for it to be more effective, that I can reach out to the right people and to get the right messages across as well.